G'day, Stu here from UAVfutures, and today, well, we're going to be checking out this beautiful beast of a quad right here. I mean, look at it. I'm going to flash some pictures up on the screen, but you can't deny this is one gorgeous looking quad. And then what this is, if you guys don't know, most of you probably do, this is the new GT2 from Diatone. So this is the 2017 version, and the reason I'm so excited is because the GT2s were absolute monsters, absolute powerhouses. So they were some of the quickest quads I've ever flown. I've got the original one right here. This is the GT2, but the 2016 version. And if you haven't seen that video, I'll leave a link up here if you want to go check that out. And they are absolute monsters. They are so fast. They handle like they're on rails. And I am so excited to finally get my hands on the new version of the GT2 because what we've got upgraded motors, props, better ESCs. You know, I think they've done a few things that might push this one in definitely like a big contender to maybe like fastest bind and fly drone of the year or something like that. Anyway, what we're going to do, enough rambling, we're going to stick this bad boy on the bench. We'll have a look, break it down, have a look at all its components, and then the part 2 of a review, we'll take it out, we'll fly it around, and we'll also hand it over to Grumpy Trevor. Anyway, enough rambling from me. I can't wait to stick this thing on the bench. Look, I mean, honestly, how good does it look? Let's waste no time and get started. I should probably mention too, like, that's honestly, for a color scheme, I don't think any bind and fly comes out and looks quite this good. Maybe the original Chameleon as well, because the Chameleon looked absolutely amazing, and I really like, you know, we had an orange one, and I like what this is doing with the purple. Alrighty, so here it is on the bench, and honestly, look at this thing. This thing really is a work of art. I think if I was going to be in love with a quad, this one definitely is a looker, but Stuart, you're getting a bit too excited. But I think this thing, honestly, it's reminding me of like when I first looked at the Chameleon. I don't know if that's what it is about that anodized aluminium on a quad, but it looks absolutely stellar. So, what we're going to do, let's break it down. Let's have a look at some of its components, how it goes together, because it is very similar to last year's model with a few upgrades. We're going to be looking at the frame, definitely the ESC and the ESC protectors, and also the motors, which I'm super excited about. But first things first, let's stick it on the scales and find out how much it weighs. Take your bets. How much is it going to weigh? It's coming in at 372 grams, plus an FPV antenna. I'll just get one of those. Now, it does come with one of these Onways. I've bent this one up. I've been flying around with it on some other drones. So all in all, about 184 grams. So not the heaviest drone, but also not the lightest. If you compare it to something like the Chuck Norris frame, which I reviewed a little while ago, that one, if we have a look, is only 256 grams. So look, this is a little bit heavier, you know, and if you compare it to the Chameleon, it's a little bit lighter than the Chameleon. So look, it's sort of in between. It does have some massive powerhouse motors on here, and the frame is also super chunky, so super strong. Now, of course, what we're going to do, we're going to have a look at the frame first, and then we're going to break it down, look at the props and motors and the internal components. So the frame, you can see this time, I really like the Diatone frames. I think they're fantastic, really well designed. They look absolutely stellar, but their carbon right here, look, this is what really impressed me with the original GT2. It's got a, if I can get this little measuring part right on here, we have some hopefully you guys can see that, might be out of focus. Anyway, we've got some 5-inch arms right there, which is fantastic. So, and it's one solid base plate. So honestly, to break a GT2 frame, you're going to have to going pretty quick and hit something pretty heavy. So I'm going to suggest this thing is going to survive a lot of crashes, the frame anyway. Now, a nice upgrade for this one, we have upgraded the props from the original version. You do get the Gem Fan 51, 52s, which are going to be fantastic. Are they better than Cyclones? Look, I guess that's up to you. Props aren't really the biggest deal when it comes to upgrades, though, because, look, you only get 2 sets of them, and most people usually put on the props that they like anyway. So what I'm going to do, let's take the props off, and then let's have a look at some of the other components. Look at that motor, look how cool that looks. So there we go, props off for the boys, and look at those motors. I'm absolutely in love. I think it looks fantastic. You can see just how nice those motors are looking right there. So this is where I think one of the biggest upgrades is right here. On the outside, we've got some of these special blue motors, the Diatone, what are they? Diatone 2306 2450 kV motors. And originally, I know in the past, some people actually got some desyncs with their motors. So I'm wondering, in this one, they've upgraded the motors. Are we still going to get those desyncs or not? Now, these things, they're going to pump out a ton of thrust. And I'm going to guess that this thing is going to be an absolute rocket when you put a really good battery on here. Now moving towards the middle, you can see we've got our ESC. They've upgraded the ESC, so these are 30 amp ESCs, these are 32 XD ESCs, they're running BLHES, and with those desyncs, Diatone assures me that people aren't getting desyncs anymore. So with the upgraded motors and the upgraded ESCs, they've fixed those problems, which was really happening at some really high RPMs when you're really smashing this quad. A few people were getting it tumbling out of the sky, so hopefully we've fixed those things. One massive thing I want to talk about before we get into the middle, look at the frame style. So they've changed up the whole frame style. So you can see here is my original one, and the frame style on this one, look, was flown to death. And to be honest, this original GT2 was probably the one that pushed my skills and really pushed me to the next level in my flying. So we're referencing this a little bit, but they actually have a few different versions. So with the 2017 version, you can have a stretched X, and that means the quad is longer this way than across the front. So you can see when you're flying through the air, you should have some cleaner air, and I like to think of it as a bit of physical expo when you're flying around. A lot of pilots recommend that they have some more control, I guess, in the pitch axis. So a really popular racing option is to have what's called a stretched X style of frame, which is exactly what this is. Now, one of my favorite features of the GT2, and look, I'm so happy that it's here with the 2017 version, all you have to do is simply loosen these two screws at the back, take these two screws out from underneath your battery pad, which we will talk about, all those nice shiny bits underneath, and then you can pop the bonnet or pop the hood. I'm going to unplug the camera right here so we can see a little bit easier. Excuse me 1 second. There we go. There it is. There's all your stuff you need to work on. So all you have to do is pop the hood. So I'm going to show you a photo of that. But I am a massive fan that you can just simply work on your drone so easily. Especially if you're out in the field and need to do something. It's nice to have that quick, easy access to your stuff. Now, let's talk about the goods. While we've got the bonnet up, while we've got the hood open, let's have a look at some of the cool components in here. So we have a little upgraded F3 flight control. Of course, it's rocking Betaflight, and I'm happy to say that it is soft mounted in this one. So this one should have a few little less vibrations. Underneath you've got the Diatone VTX, the SP version 2, and to be honest, I'm not sure how I feel about those VTXs because I did hear a few stories of some of them burning out. I know in my very first GT2 I had some issues with my VTX where it didn't, so it sort of just stopped working. So time will tell if this one goes, but look, when it does work, it works. The one on my original GT, the one on this GT2, once I got that replacement, I don't know if it was just reviewers, this one has lasted the test of time and it's been an absolute workhorse. This quad has been flown to death. Now, a cool feature of this one, of course, you can adjust everything on there. So as well as pushing your channels, you've got a nice big display so you can see exactly what you're doing, and you can also adjust your power levels, which to be honest, look, it's pretty standard nowadays. Most VTXs can let you do that. Now, keeping on the FPV side of things, we've got our camera right here. So that's right at the front of the quad, and that is one weakness, I think, of this quad. Many people I know have smashed their VTX, so I'm going to have to come up with some solution. I don't know, a little crossbar or something like that. Even if we had a crossbar at the front, it would stop our camera from getting smashed when it came to some gates, because I know a lot of people when they're racing around their GT2s, they're absolute monsters on the field trying to like control a crazy beast, but if you hit a flag, that camera is goodbye. So I'm not the biggest fan of, you know, where this camera's placed and how loosely, I guess I would say, it's protected. And also, I had to tape my original one up because it kept sliding down a little bit. So once those screws on the outside get loose, the front of your FPV camera can wiggle up and down. So I ended up taping mine in my original last year's GT2. And to be honest, it's a pretty standard camera. So I think for the other components in this quad right here, it'd be nice if we could upgrade it maybe to like a run cam or a Fox ear or just a little bit of an FPV camera. Look, it is a Sony Superhad CCD like the HS1177, nothing wrong with it, but you're getting sort of kind of a premium package here at a pretty good price, I reckon. It'd be nice if they just could upgrade the camera a little bit. Now, of course, on the other end, we've got a FPV camera, nothing wrong with that whatsoever. Our omnidirectional antenna, big fan of those, used a ton of those in the past. You do have a smart little mounting system at the back here, so when you're tightening your FPV camera, it's not going to spin around. I know it's a little bit hard to see, but it's not going to spin around or snap off any of these cables, so that part's pretty cool, and I like how it's directly mounted on a really good angle that's coming out the back of your quad. So when you're flying around, you should be getting some really good, I guess, radiation patterns from your antenna. And then I guess something I like is they've changed a few little extra things that you might not notice straight away. So some of those little features, and these are really the features that push a drone from being good to being fantastic. So on the bottom right here, you can see we've got strengthened little columns right here, little parts of diatone, little parts of anodized aluminium right here that fit down into the frame. So they're no longer just held in by a screw. You can see, hopefully you guys can see, you've got a tiny little square in here where it sort of slots in place. Flipping it over, you have a massive Velcro strap. So this in my opinion, is a genius idea. It's going to hold your Velcro strap. It's going to hold your battery really, really secure. It's put in two with a new battery holder, so I really like this battery part. It adds a little bit of weight, but I think it's a great way of securing your batteries. And then something that I'm pretty crazy about, these soft mounts right here for your motors, these have to be the most engineered and special looking soft mounts that you can actually see. Of course, we've got those ESC covers, which we've been looking about the whole time, but they're trying to reduce some motor vibrations, so all the motors on this craft are held in with some very, very special soft mounts. So check this out. I'm going to take this out. Look how fancy these soft mounts are. So, have you ever seen, look at this, have you ever seen a nicer looking soft mount? We've got an anodized aluminium plate, you've got some little washers on there, which honestly I don't want to lose, so I'll put those carefully to the side. That slides in, you've got a little bit of hard plastic in between, and then your motor is going to be sitting on the top of that. So, these motors, I think they're going to be absolute powerhouses, and the idea behind soft mounting as well is that it's meant to reduce vibrations. Does it work? I guess that's a bit of a debate in the hobby, but I do think it's nice that they're trying them out, and I think this thing is going to fly like absolute silk when it's burning around the track. So overall, look, I love the original GT2, and I can't wait to see how this one flies, so definitely stay around for part 2. There were some little things, and probably my biggest gripe with this, I do wish they fixed the FPV camera, but as you can see, this thing is going to be an absolute monster on the race track. Alrighty, so there it is. There's my part 1 review of the Diatone GT2 2017. That's a lot of numbers in here, but for a 5-inch racer, I love the original GT2, and it was an absolute beast. One of the most crazy quads I've ever flown. I still fly mine around today, but the 2017 version, I think, takes it to the next level, and especially with the Stretch X version, it's going to be very, very interesting. I love what they've tried. Well, I love what they're doing. I love the upgrades, like the soft mounts, better motors, better ESCs. Hopefully those things are gone as well, but there are some things I do wish they'd upgrade, and number 1, it's that camera. So I definitely think we don't want to be smashing our FPV camera, so I'd like a few more little options to protect that, and hopefully our VTX stays strong as well and doesn't burn itself out or anything like that, because look, that did happen with the very first GT2 that I ever had until I replaced it. It's held strong since, but you know, that was something that happened with the original one. So time will tell, so definitely stick around for part 2. Drop some comments down below. Is this not the most gorgeous drone that you've ever seen? You know, it's right up there in my opinion with like the Chameleon. I think it looks fantastic. Subscribe for more FPV related content, and definitely subscribe because in part 2 we'll take it around, hand it to Grumpy Trev and rip it around, because I think this thing is going to be an absolute beast. You know, would you get the Stretched X version or would you get the normal version? Because I think they're open to 2 different things. I'd be interested, what do you guys think? And as always, happy flying! Alrighty, so hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. Definitely subscribe if you're new to the channel and check out these videos. And I'm also going to leave a little link here to my Patreon page, because I've got some fantastic Patreon supporters and I like to give back to them as well. So if you want to join the UAVfutures family, there's things like bonus Velcro straps, little bundles of FPV goodies and things like that that also get sent out. Anyway, happy flying!